San Francisco has no space. It's not child-friendly, number one. It has no space, because if you want to build anything in San Francisco, we don't have any more room. You know, we've got a lot of parks in San Francisco, we've got a lot of other things, but we don't have a lot of places for people to build their homes. And when we do build homes, we build homes in economically segregated communities. So we don't get a chance to get the communication across these boards that can help to answer that. And I don't think we can answer that for every individual. Every individual has to figure out how to work within the communities that they're in. What has happened is we have policies in the state of California which have made it impossible to fund our schools. And we're going to have at least a couple of them on the ballot this year, so we can begin to look at some of them as we go along. One of them is Proposition 13. You know, that's one of the issues that we've got to address, that we have no money anymore for schools in San Francisco because we are still depending on the owner of property to pay for our schools. And that doesn't make any sense at all, because we can't do it on the owner of properties, especially as we get older and older populations. So we have to become more sophisticated about a lot of the things that we hear. And that means that we have to stretch out and go beyond our own neighborhoods and our own communities and get to meet people who are across other lines. Because a lot of what we're talking about are the stereotypes that grow up because we simply don't have connection with each other.
I appreciate your last remarks. I've been volunteering in Richmond in the Iron Triangle, and some of you were aware that yesterday massive numbers of folks went to the streets in order to protest the levels of youth violence 3 weeks ago within the church, the Senate Church. And I will pose a question to you, if I may. And
not as long as you don't want the answer from me, that's okay.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
And it is about the role of volunteerism. Citizen volunteerism, which to some extent has declined as middle-aged, middle-class women have returned to the workplace, in part because they must.
They were always the volunteers, so that was part of the problem.
And they were. I mean, years ago, I was on the board of the local Y, volunteer middle class, when integrated, I might add, was why most decidedly wanted to reverse it. But in Richmond, clearly, what you have are numbers of neighborhood councils and volunteers, et cetera. So there is a ferment. It's not going to change the violence overnight because precisely what you said is that youth poor. There are job opportunities. They don't particularly want to work in McDonald's, or they don't go to school. Well, and they can't go to school in many cases. They're just, at a certain age, the peer pressures are such. I mean, it's lots of gangs in the Iron District, Iron Triangle. So my question really to you is about the efficaciousness of volunteer work. In this day and age, you've been calling us to be attentive, but this is different. This is about getting our tissues out and going out to the streets.
How many of you volunteer in any place?
Yeah.
I think practically every hand would go up, because somewhere along the line we're all volunteering in a variety of places, and I think we need to continue to do that. I'm talking about a little bit more than just volunteering, because some of the volunteer activities are so status conscious.
It's like activists.
Yeah, we have to be activists in this. That means we have to reach out and we have to be willing to make changes. Volunteerism, I think, is one of the things the United States does very well in terms of other countries. A lot of other people don't have volunteerism to that degree. We have a lot of it. But it's not always very well organized or very well directed.
Or sustained.
Or sustained. It's never sustained with money. We know that, because what happens is the programs that I've spent most of my life working in are the programs that have always been underfunded. I've worked in equal opportunity and equal housing opportunities and schools. All of that is underfunded in our society. We don't have that big barrels of money for those things, although we talk about education being absolutely important to our society. And I think we need to do something about that. It's interesting that you particularly pointed out the Caribbean, for example, because in the early 20s, when there was a lot of migration from the Caribbean to the United States, mostly up into the east in New York, the training of people in the Caribbean was so much better than the United States, that that's where you got a lot of the people who went through the major schools and all the rest of that, got their degrees, were mostly from the Caribbean. They had come through the great British system of schooling. My father, for example, used to be able to multiply 3 decimals by 3 digits in his